Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 1444th Board of Directors regular meeting. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we'll start with the roll call. Chair Mandy here. Director Carhart, not here yet. Director Irwin.
Here.
Director Mount.
Here.
Director O'Hara. Item number 4 on our agenda is presentations. 4.1, presentation of new staff, marketing coordinator, and facility tech supervisor. I'll tell them. Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Jen Schuler, Arts and Entertainment Manager. They're not here, but we have had quite a lot of new hires the last couple of weeks. We did hire a technical supervisor for the new center, Isaiah Leeper. He started last week, as well as Kimberly Vernon, right? That is a marketing coordinator. She started last week as well. And the week prior, I had a new arts and entertainment associate, Cassie Blank, that started and rocked our garden gala last week as well. Oh, and there's Kimberly. So she can pop on and wave at everyone and say a little introduction if she would like.
Okay, Kimberly, you should be good to unmute and you can turn on video.
Oh, thank you so much. I was like, oh no. Hi everyone, I'm Kimberly. I'm the new marketing coordinator with the Fair Oaks Recreation Park District. I just started about last Monday. So just about a week and a half in. Just a little bit about me. I'm originally from Santa Clara, so I'm from the Bay Area. I just moved to Fair Oaks as of a month ago. My fiance, he works in healthcare, so he works for UC Davis down in downtown Sacramento. And so I'm really excited to be in this new community. I grew up really involved in the Parks and Rec department in my hometown in Santa Clara. That's where I found my love for the arts. So just some extra fun facts about me is I've been an arts advocate and an arts educator in the past, along with working in marketing. And then the fun fact about me is I'm currently Miss California for exactly one more month. So on June 21st, I'll be passing on the crown and another lucky girl will get to wear the crown of Miss California and go to Miss America. But this past year has been really, really exciting on that side quest. But I'm really excited to be joining you all.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you. And thank you for the introductions, Jen. All right, we'll move now to item number 5, audience public comment on non-agenda items. So any person may address the board with any subject that's within the jurisdiction of the Fair Oaks Rec and Park District. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and any matter that requires board action is going to be referred to the staff or committee, and then we'll do the action that subsequent meeting. So I have a few public comment requests here. The first one is Nick Broad about the suggesting an adaptive playground.
Nick Broad, 3934 Manchester Road. 2 parts. An invitation to the directors and all of you at Meristem on June the 9th. Rich Desmond and Meristem and an organization called Julie Hope is helping on a bike ride from the east to the west coast with a second stop overnight. 5 and 8 are invited. Disabled children are invited. An adaptive bike company is coming to help them learn. There's about 80 people coming. You are invited. It's also sponsored by United Cerebral Palsy. Mark Leela is the expert partner. He is an expert in adaptive universal playgrounds. And when he walked past Meristem and saw Balance Park, he said, aha, I'd like to participate. So I'm just introducing him. He could not come tonight. He's double booked, but he will be coming next week to introduce himself. So that's my minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a second public comment request from Brian Bernine. This one involves the Bannister Park baseball. Always say, I think it's on the agenda.
Take off third and go later, yeah,
That's
thank you.
okay. Okay, we will hold it and then, when we get to that item, we'd love to have you speak. Okay. So next item on the agenda is our consent calendar.
Motion to approve the consent calendar. Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right. Items under number 7 are new business, so we'll start with 7.1, monthly Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board report.
My name is Matthew Chow, I'm the Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board. So last meeting, we didn't really have any official things to do, just the celebration of our year's work has way out. And as this is my last year, I just wanted to say thank you to the directors for having me here every month. And thank you for all the opportunities and everything I've been able to do this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
What are you doing next year, Matthew? For your
I'm
plan?
going to college at UC San Diego.
Oh, congratulations.
UC San Diego, that's my son's home. Six to the school,
It is a good
and there's a beach nearby.
And the big library looks like a spaceship.
Yeah.
It really does. It's very cool. Well, thank you. Okay, we will move to 7.2, which is a receive and file bond oversight committee annual report. Is anyone speaking on this or no? Oh,
Right.
Mike,
Justin should be, he messaged me, is he online? Or on site? You might wanna, we just messaged not too long ago about this and everything was okay. So maybe if the board would, move that down the agenda a little bit and I'll message him again and see what's going on. I didn't know he wasn't there.
yes, no, I'd like to hear from him. So
Yeah, it's required even, yeah.
we'll just defer this one and move on to our other new business.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pause a second while I message him.
All right.
So-
The next item is a discussion on the electric vehicle charging station, summary, cost, time, and policy guidance. Is that also Mike? We'll wait for him to leave his message for Justin.
Sorry, I had to message Justin.
Okay.
So let's get on with this. So what this is just to receive and file, just kind of information, maybe some guidance from you tonight if you have any, no board actions required yet as we go forward. We have 7 electric vehicle charging stations that are part of the new project, and they'll be opening up to the public. We're working on activating them right now. There's some other elements that have to happen as we activate those stations. One, we've got to figure out charging and things like that. So this is going to give you a little bit of summary of some of the charges that we might be implementing or proposing to implementing for the vehicle charging. And it's really just to get your input on what those charges and processes could look like. So as I mentioned, we have seven charging stations. They're level 2 charging stations, 240 volts. They're fast charging stations. The typical charging speed is 6 to 10 kilowatt hours per hour. And the district pays SMUD right now, our rate that we pay as a district. You can see it there, but it ranges between almost 13 to 12 cents per kilowatt hour up to 20 cents per kilowatt hour during peak periods. We are proposing a 30-cent per kilowatt hour charge. We did some research around the area. One of the lowest ones was 28 cents. We're just about in the middle of the range of the Sacramento area for the kilowatt hour. So that's our one fee right now that we're looking at. It takes on the average 2 to 4 hours per charging session for someone to charge their vehicle. And there's a little chart there on your sheet that you have in front of you about a rough estimation of the cost at 30 cents per kilowatt hour. A Nissan Leaf, for an example, would be $6, a Chevy Bolt $9, a Tesla Model 3 $10.50, and a Ford Mustang Mach-E at $12. And that's based on, again, 30 cents per kilowatt hour. But most users do not charge from 0 to 100. They typically top off somewhere from 20 to 80%, depending on their trip needs and things like that. And then the other element around this is the idle time. Once their vehicle is charged, we would like them to move on if we could. But they often, folks, stay. And when you're in the village at a show, we would hope that you would stay. We'd come into the village, go to dinner, charge your car, go to a show, all those types of things. We wanted to charge an idle fee, though, yet make it somewhat reasonable. So let's just say someone's there for 4 hours, which would be about right for show and dinner. They could charge their vehicle and potentially in the idle, once their vehicle is charged, pay $2 per hour for that idle time. And there'd be a grace period, though, after the full charge of 15 minutes, so you don't have to rush back to your car. The consumer gets notices on their phone that their car is fully charged, and it also gets a notice. They also get notice if there's going to be an idle charge. So they're getting noticed of all those things. It's not just a random thing. And then we would sign those things, the sites, with this information, 30 cents per kilowatt hour, and a $2 idle fee after a 15-minute grace period. So that's kind of what we're recommending for this. Again, I talked about the signage. We want to clearly communicate the pricing, the idle fees, and the time limits. And then the integrated enforcement tool via the charging app. So we're not going to actually enforce this or collect the fees. It's going to be done through the charging app, and then we'll be reimbursed through the charging app. There'll be a fee from the charging app. The money that we generate, additional money that we generate above our kilowatt hour rate, will be used for maintaining the site, maintaining the products, servicing the products, working with our vendors, things like that. It's not a moneymaker. It's going to be at best a break even, and hopefully that's where we'll end up with on it. So anyway, the average electric vehicle user in the Fair Oaks Park can expect to pay $6 to $12 per session, again, with their typical charging between 2 and 4 hours, and then the idle fee implemented to increase or to ensure turnover and support equitable access. And it really does align with the best practices of other agencies. And so that's pretty much it. Just wanted to get your feedback on any of that. Seems reasonable. We do have to go to the Nick, help me out here. We have to go to public comment. We have to go to public.
Public notice of fees.
Thank you for these new fees. So we do still have to do that. And so we're hoping to bring that up in June, I believe is scheduled for the agenda. So anyway, that's what we have.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
As you know, we're going to have parking issues down in Old Fair Oaks, regardless. What is the protocol for a non-EV parking or non-EV car parking in one of these spots?
Yeah, that's a challenge. Yeah, that's going to be a challenge. We have, as we were working on our parking management system prior to the EV, it's separate from the EV thing. We did get a ruling from our attorney that says that we can administer or regulate and cite drivers on our property. So the board has to authorize that to an individual, one of our staff, that would actually be able to issue citations. Now, we don't have that figured out yet, and you don't have somebody yet that can do the enforcement. We would have to rely on Sacramento County to come in and enforce that. It would be a very big lift for them to do. So it is one of the challenges, but hopefully something happens. What's that?
At the very least, we should put up signage for a violation, $240, whatever, for a non-EV car parking there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Definitely, and definitely something we can do. I do believe we need to enforce it, but yeah. I'm sorry, I was interrupting.
So can't we also tow? We can tow. I mean, so it sounds like you have a hesitancy about that.
Yeah, I mean, towing takes a time, number one, for the tow truck to get there. We have to instigate the tow, and we do have to post the vehicle, I believe. We don't have a time limit on it because the site itself will be posted, but we have to post the vehicle. And then that gives them a chance to come and remove their vehicle. It's one of the things that Sean knows more about the towing situation than I do.
When you say post the vehicle, what do you mean?
Put a notice on the vehicle.
I don't know if that's true.
As long as have signs posted in our parking lot.
I think that's all we need. Because I can't remember the name of the company that's used quite heavily in the village. I don't know if we're the ones that use it. There's a towing company.
We utilize Central Valley Towing.
Yeah, and aren't they based in Rancho? In Rancho?
I believe so, but
Yeah,
double
I think
check on that.
I know the owners. They're good people. But I mean, to me, I think that people started seeing that early on. They're not going to fizz with spots, and I think we have to have enforcement. It's not the right thing. So that's what I don't know if you're going to need a board action on that, but I definitely think impose towing and have a sign that says your car will be towed.
Yeah, I would just want to make certain that we're following the necessary protocols through Sacramento County, as well as our attorney. So making sure that we have those all covered. But yes, absolutely agree.
And to my fellow board members, I think the idle fee is far too low. It's far too low. Tesla, the minimum is between 50 cents and $1 a minute.
Yeah.
So I think we absolutely need to follow more in line with that protocol. So that'd be my recommendation.
I thought the idle fee is too low too.
Way
I
too low.
agree.
That's not going to move people along, and they're going to just stay there.
The
So
15-minute grace period,
good.
the 15-minute grace period, I think is pretty standard with the EV chargers, but the idle fee, I agree.
Closer to at least $10 an hour.
Yeah,
Or do it by
I
5
think
minutes.
by every 5 minutes
Or something.
I don't know. I still kind of like the idea of a minute because that's really going to make something. Not yet. Because I think that's really going to make a difference. I say we do it by the minute. They have the first 15 minutes of grace period. And we're giving them, and the thing, it's not like we're cutting them off on a 2-hour charge. We're cutting them off once it's fully charged. So
They could be there for 4 hours.
technically they could, right? So I think that's a very amenable thing. You can do it if you want to do it 50 cents a minute, but I think we should do it per minute.
Maybe.
So I have some questions too, and they were along the same lines, Mike. My first question was, can non-electrical vehicles park in those spaces when they're not
We're
being
saying
used?
no.
So to me, the ideal solution to that would be to stencil active electrical charging only. Right there on the space or in a sign or something where people can see that. My second question, and I just wanted to comment on the grace period. If somebody gets notified on their phone and they're busy eating in one of the restaurants or they're shopping, they're trying to check out, I think we got to give them at least that 15 minutes to get over there. And
That's what we said.
So we don't want to shorten that. The idle fee, yes, we don't want people to charge their vehicle and then stay there indefinitely. So my other question is, how do you enforce that? If somebody stays longer, is the space intelligent, knows they're still there, or how does that work? Or do we just have to catch them?
Here's how I understand. I don't have an electric vehicle, so you electric vehicle owners or who have used one can correct me. But the app itself, once you enter in the app can tell if you're fully charged, and your card that is on file will continually get charged for those idle fees.
I think.
The way to stop it is to come back to your vehicle and unplug the vehicle. So at that point, you might as well just move it unless, depends on how much you love to just.
If somebody wants to game the system, they just go back and unplug it. So
No, there's always ways to game.
The only issue, I like the idea of higher idle fee. I don't have any really issue with it, but if you are going to dinner and go to a show, it's that kind of person we want parking there and charging the car at the same time. I would hate for us to overcharge them to park and go to dinner and go to a show in our facilities. So that would be the only thing would be my hesitation.
Prime parking spot. Okay, so it's like to say that we're overcharging them when we're doing a very fair kilowattage, like that was a very fair thing. And again, we're not saying it's a max of 2 hours, but
Right.
you have to we're all adults. If you're parking in this spot, you need to be able to understand, I'm going to a show, I'm doing this, and I have faith in our Fair Oaks community that they can manage their time.
Do you have, have you gone out with any proposals to any of the major like brands of EV chargers that would do it, like EVgo or Charge America or any of those?
Yeah, we're with ChargePoint because that's who our stations are. Yeah, so yes.
All of our stations are, with a single proprietor there.
Yeah.
Is that a
Correct.
per contract as long as that device is out there, or can we change that in the future? We need to.
That's a good question. It's a ChargePoint charger. I'm not sure. I doubt that you could, use somebody else's proprietary system in there. I do not know for sure though.
And then can you tell us, and it's okay if you don't have this information today, but what the fees would be that we would pay to ChargePoint? Like, is it a per use? Is it a per?
Yeah, I'll get those for you.
We have an engine which is pre-ordered, but that's unique.
So what do we charge?
Do they just get a percentage? Oh, I think they get a percentage of saying we pay SMUD like SMUD 10 cents. We charge them like 40 cents, whatever, 30 cents. And so I think they just get a fee. I think it's like.
That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering what the fee is. I'm just curious because I feel like that may influence what we set the kilowatt rate at and what we set the idle at too. I just would like to know that information if we can have that at some point.
And I don't understand, whose electricity do these things use? Ours, or are they on separate circuits?
They're ours. It's ours.
Electric
Yeah.
somehow reversed.
Right, when we get a premium, we make.
Okay, so on my notes from here, I gotta get the ChargePoint fees, what they are charging us. Work on an increased fee for the idles, and then come back with that. Is that everything that I'm hearing?
Yep.
And then, does anyone else have anything other than this? Or I know we have an obvious question.
Not from the board.
Okay, please, if you'd like to, if you still have your question that has not been answered.
Yes. Okay. Do I need to introduce myself?
Yeah.
Oh, you go.
Oh, yeah. Please, thank you.
Yeah, name's Chris Jennings, and my question is about the fees that you mentioned for Tesla that tend to be about 50 cents to $1 a minute. As an EV driver, my experience is that the level 3 stations tend to be more costly in terms of their kilowatt hours, but also in the overstaying fees. And I think the reasoning of the commercial charging networks is that at a level 3 station, you're paying a lot per hour because you are charging rapidly. A level 2 charger, you're charging slowly, and so the rate per hour is slower to charge. And so the overstay fee is there to cover the lost revenue. Now, in this case, of course, it's a municipal parking space, so that's different. I just want to comment.
Thank you. Yes, I think we should take that into consideration because I would like to see just a little more information on how, we need to talk more, I think, about that.
That I would disagree with the gentleman. I mean, I park or pay and park at Dogo all the time. It's least expensive for parking for Tesla, and it is for the high-speed fast charging. It is still more kilowatt than ours.
Oh, no, I agree. 30 cents per kilowatt is low. And so on the low side, yeah.
It's lower than that for fast charging, and they're still having that premium. So.
Yeah.
So ours are fixed at fast charging, or do you get an option?
Very fast. Yeah.
No, they're
228.
They're slow. Okay.
Slow.
Well, medium, I would call it medium.
It'd be really 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours for full charge plus 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I saw one more question.
Yeah, who's responsible for vandalism? Stole the mailbox down in front of the post office. Who's responsible for the?
I'm sorry.
If there's any vandalism with the chargers or anything like that, who would pay for that?
Well, that is the same as if there's any vandalism on any of our facilities or park. So it would be our district be doing that, takes care of that. Same if we have, you know, something, a picnic bench or, ground equipment vandalized, that's something that we take care of.
So to be specific, if
And we
they
do have
vandalize
insurance,
these
yeah.
chargers, is that the company's responsibility to maintain them? Mike?
No, it's our responsibility to maintain those.
That raises the question in my mind, how much are those things, each of somebody's sledgehammers come to death?
Yeah.
Look for.
Yeah, it might mean putting it out of service. I mean, that's, you know, if it goes to that route.
I mean, we're not paying, right, Mike, for them to put it in. I mean, they're paying for that. So I'm really surprised that they are not the ones that would be doing the maintenance on those.
Let me confirm that we bought those chargers outright. They don't own them anymore.
And then can we also confirm that if they are covered by our insurance policy? I would think that
I'll check.
all of our other, you know, properties that we own, but just to confirm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their responsibility. They don't want us messing with high voltage charging.
No, no, I don't want anyone doing that.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, their insurance card workers comp might even.
Disallow it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And our contract with this service company, if we bail out on an individual one or all of them, what's the options there?
That I do not know. I have not seen, we haven't seen the activation charges, our contract yet. We're just now getting all that information in to ChargePoint. And so that will come out in the contract, I'm sure. But I'll have that information for the
Yes.
next.
A draft, if
Yeah.
available, your review of the draft contract, please.
Who has?
And my examples of the signage that we expect to put up too would be great to see.
Yeah. That'd be good for, yeah, I'd like to see all of the signage.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a lengthy to-do list.
If we cancel, yeah, I should have stopped at those first two.
Thinking about other things before, I didn't mention this, but if somebody comes, illegally parks in there and is there overnight or it's on my mind, because when I came here tonight, my car was dead in the driveway, so I didn't get right. But if a car is disabled in that spot overnight and everything, not an electric car, but I'm thinking if somebody parks there who's not supposed to, or emergency parks or something, how does that work? Is there somebody there to, one of our staff go over and do something?
You know, these kind of situations also arise in ADA parking stalls. You know, that scenario you're mentioning can easily happen in there. And Sean may know more of this, but I'm sure enforcement knows, you know, basically how to deal with this. I'm sure they deal with it with a kid's glove, not necessarily with a sledgehammer. But
I tow.
you
Yeah.
don't.
100%.
All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to move to our next item, which is discussion and possible action, approval of a logo for the Fair Oaks Performing Arts Center.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Jen Schuler, Arts and Entertainment Manager. So very excited we get to present to you today what we've been working on for the last couple of months. We came to you with an RFP to contract with the marketing agency that you can see is Great Media. And we have been working with them very closely to bring you what the Community Resource Committee has recommended for the logo for the new Fair Oaks Performing Arts Center. We'll present to you what we've been discussing, the different logos that we've looked at, and then eventually the logo that has been recommended from the committee. So I'd like to introduce Todd Bailey, the owner of Grey Media, and he will take over the presentation. I have copies if you guys want to follow, not on the TV. So. Have it close by.
Hi, thank you, everyone. As Jen said, my name is Todd. I am the proud founder of the small but mighty team you see here in the photo called Grey Media. We're a passionate group of individuals. I myself am a native of Sacramento. I spent a few amazing years here at Fair Oaks, so I'm actually honored to be the one that gets to lead this charge. And seeing this come together has been really great. So the goals for today is just kind of review what's been done to date, showcase some concepts that didn't work, and then exploring some of the working concepts, including, like Jen said, the one that was recommended by the committee. The goal isn't necessarily to say that this will be a final decision as much as it is to say that there is opportunity for refinement, but ideally we'd be moving forward with one single decision, refining whether that's colors, fonts, etc. So typically the way we like to start these projects is with a word association, just to kind of get a sense to build out a good project brief for the design team that we work with, as well as some other local designers as well. And some of those words that we came together were community, forgive the font placement there, that's, creativity, and gather. So things that we wanted to keep in mind as we were going along as well were things to avoid. While we want to pay homage to Fair Oaks Parks and Rec, we want to make sure that we're not cannibalizing the logo in the sense of using the same colors and fonts, but we also want to avoid a few different themes that were a little too on the nose. So with that, lovingly, of course, we wanted to avoid chickens, anything related to an oak silhouette directly, and any obvious symbols of the arts. So whether that's comedy, tragedy, a dancer silhouette, and such. So some of the earlier designs. So these were a few that came to light. There was many. So good? Okay. Well, from these, we made some observations. This one looks like a prison. This is a little too complex, and that's a wreath. Not necessarily the direction we're trying to take this. But from the learnings in these initial phases, what we found was that we wanted the logo to really have a lot of versatility. We wanted that to give us a lot of range to be able to change colors, to maybe match seasonality, or the theme of the events that could be happening at the center. And we really just wanted to have a dynamic logo that would last for the future to come, as well as something that would work in a lot of different use cases. So with that, the first design. And the idea behind this one is a play on an oak leaf silhouette, as well as the idea of chat bubbles. The idea here is that while this is, basically the idea here is that this is a community activation point and we want all voices to be heard. So the logo has a lot of different opportunities in terms of, like I said, to be able to change out colors and present it in a bunch of different formats as well. Second design. The idea behind this one as well is back to the same versatility, but we have a unique take on the F, as it is an actual F pulled from a violin. The circle, not only representing the circle of this being the center for activation, but also can represent a painter's palette. And the final design, the committee recommended. Now, I wanted to showcase how well this also works as a black and white. Now, the geometric patterns that you're seeing there are a very symbolic take on many of the elements that we know and love here in Fair Oaks. It's not just to bring things together from a balanced harmony or just to include geometry for the sake of geometry. And it also presents some really interesting use case scenarios. Multitudes of colors, multitudes of placements, multitudes of ways that we can use the actual shape of the logo itself. With that, I want to know if there's any feedback, and I can bounce back and forth between any logos as needed.
For the board, who was on the committee that made that recommendation?
I was one of them. Was it, I think
And John.
John was it?
So I'd love to hear from you, Director Carhart, on why you like that one best.
Well, I think the main thing, this one's kind of bright and splashy, but if you look at the others, the silhouettes and the black and white and so on, to me, it had a rather informal feel, like, a Valley Oak leaf, kind of reminiscent of Fair Oaks. we liked it better than the lobe one, which, you know, as he mentioned, like boxes that have chat bubble boxes.
Yeah, I didn't see that at all in the first one. That's great. I personally like the first one the most. I think it looks the best. I think it looks the most classic out of everything. I still think that looks like a Maple. It does look different than when we saw it.
It was revised to take some of the edge off. The lobes have also been adjusted a little bit,
I never
but
saw any of it, but yeah, I don't like that one personally. So I don't know if anybody else thinks.
I really like the font in the first one.
I like the first one too.
Yeah.
The font, like
The
this part.
overall.
Overall.
I just, I mean, and then the other thing is too, if you can go to show the maple leaf one with all of the different things, like the pattern. So that that's so busy on that far bottom thing. I just think it looks really busy, and I think it takes away from the actual words Faro Performing Arts Center too.
Yeah, go to the silhouette ones and show those.
Draws the eye.
They draw
Keep going.
Black and white, or do you want the color?
The silhouette, keep going. Now,
I'm sorry, the silhouette for,
Which one?
for the third one. Isn't there a silhouette on?
on the background, excuse me.
So Linda, to your point, you can change and adjust the fonts and colors. Because right now, we're mostly voting on
That,
design.
that one with
stuff, so that is a
a
little bit-
picture with the silhouette. Yeah, that's one of the better looking things using that. Let's see here. When I see the first slide of that one that John and I picked, it does look a little busy with the bright colors and everything. I like it without so much busyness. But, you know, probably.
I just think the first one looks a lot more modern.
I think it looks cleaner, modern.
I also don't think it looks
established.
like an oak leaf. It doesn't look like an oak leaf though. That's
I
the
get
thing.
more of the leaf as far as a little bit more like not on the nose leaf than the last one.
Yeah, the last one is too busy for me as well, but I like the shape of it, but without, I love the idea of like the deep dive into all the lines and what they mean. I think that's very cool. But I think that to your point, it's almost too busy having all the lines. And I almost just like the silhouette of like the shape of the leaf better, but without all the lines. But this is
Yeah.
kind of similar in that way in that it's multiple. I guess, like you said, they could change the color.
The colors are fully changeable across the board for all of these.
I wasn't terribly in love with the lines either. I don't see all that symbolism when I look at it. So what I really like is the outline, the fact that it's,
It looks like an oak leaf.
yeah. Of
Yeah.
all the oaks that I use, you know,
Close to me.
Bovada, which has those nice oaks, it's one of the prettiest leaves, the oak family. That's what attracted me to it. Can't speak for John.
Can you give us a less busy oak leaf?
I can definitely go back to the designer and ask for a little bit, maybe less in terms of the geometric shapes there.
How are we on timing? Like how, because I also don't want to slow, we have roadblocks.
It would be nice to have some sort of approval, because then I can move forward with building out the website, which is, then I can start doing tickets. We can, of course, make some edits as long as we have the direction. That would be really helpful at this, stage. But
Well,
we also
first
want it to be right too.
The first thing I do to it, you know, I'm not a graphic designer, but I'm a landscape architect. First thing I would do is leave the lines in there that correspond to rib lines on a leaf and take away the rest, because it does come out too busy. I'd love to see one that just uses the lines as rib lines to a leaf. I think that was, and a lot less colors.
It's, I think it's too geometric looking.
I do not know. It is.
I
My favorite
personally
was the
think,
first
I
as
personally
well.
think we should go more with one and maybe see a variation on one over three. I feel like there's too much change. in three.
Yeah.
You guys all like
Yeah.
I like number one too, out of the three of them. I'm not in love
There's
with
not
it.
a lot
but
of
it's
variations
that-
on how you've used number one, but maybe.
It
you
was,
could,
just
show
in
us
terms of the
other
presentation, only because this was the committee recommended, so I wanted to make sure I gave the breadth of what that was. It was only for the sake of time, but there is opportunity in terms of the previous presentation that we discussed with the committee that does show, two color, it's not.
Do you have those variations here tonight?
Not with me, not in a way that we'd be able to display in this format.
I was hoping, broke you under the bus during the meeting.
Okay, so you're looking for approval of a logo.
That is, if we have to go back and edit, then it'll be another month, and we'll do another presentation. Which, we'll make it work for opening and we'll, post our tickets on our website and delay this process, which is fine. We do want this to be correct and you guys to be happy. But that is the timeline to.
Yeah, I would put one, but Chair, do you want to just, since we do have people here, I don't know.
Yeah, if anyone wants to comment or make
Would it be
a
a suggestion, would it be okay for them to bring back some adjusted samples, post them in the, lobby of the district there and have us go check things and, vote on it, maybe even let the community vote on it?
I don't think we can.
No.
I think it would take up more tonight too. So, but I know someone would like to speak. You would.
Currently, the space between the words is a little off, like between the F and the O, it needs to be
A
more,
little closer.
yeah. And it's really good.
You're saying you think the word fair and oaks should be closer, is that what you're saying?
Performing, especially.
The graphic designer.
performing.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
For the B.
For like 100 years.
The space between letters,
Oh, I
the kerning is,
Oh, you think it's too far?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's just,
I
it
can
seems
see that.
very bold.
Well, that's something that we. can
That's a
always
small
do.
thing, but yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Shall I just a practical question?
Sure.
Got black and black and got multiple different colours. What's the printing cost of this on an ongoing basis? There's a bunch of odd, unusual, unique colours there. And we've got hybrid no, you sure?
Well, we can also do it as black and white.
Yeah,
It's very important if you can do it in black and white, because you can't always print something in color, or you can't always embroider something in color, or put it up somewhere, like Fair Oaks Water District, they weren't gonna put that in color behind their heads there, so it's important that it lives and works really well in black and white.
Order back to.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to approve one of the logos?
I motion to approve the first logo design.
I will second that.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You should probably abstain.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, Mary,
Thank you so much.
very much. Thank you for your.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's see. Okay, we're gonna step back to our 7.2 item, which we had, talked about. That is it's a receive and files, no action, but this is our bond oversight committee annual report.
Thank you. Apologize for being late today. My name is Justin Drake. I'm a member of the Bond Oversight Committee. Our job is to make sure to do a citizens audit and make sure that the bond money is spent appropriately according to the bond. In order to do that, we had 4 separate board meetings, and we reviewed about 15 different invoices on a random basis to make sure that they fit within the bond. Basically, they went towards capital projects and not towards operating expenses. So should have a report that was forwarded to you. That's our report. To reflect this for me.
I know that one of your committee members retired, and so do you have plans to replace that person or any interest in replacing? I know the bond is kind of wrapped. I mean, the whole project is wrapping up, but
Really close to being wrapped up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, it will be most, I mean, Mike would be better speaking about that, but, I think the majority of it, 80% probably is allocated.
I know Kim, it's, the committee now, is Barbara also off?
that's.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think Kim's too.
And at an earlier board meeting, I don't recall which one, was sometime probably after Barbara resigned. You all said, hey, let's don't go through the process. We're fine. We're still within the bylaws of the Bond Oversight Committee with the numbers that we have. And it was a not to exceed number, not a have to have 12 people. You can have 5 and still be fine. So there's a range in there. So we're still within that range, and we'll be able to finish that up. But bringing somebody in at this point with really all of the bond funds at this point are committed. And so we really don't have anything new that we can do. They're just there now. The bond oversight is there to do probably one more review next year, and that will probably wrap it up.
Well, thank you for the report today and providing the written report too, and for your time for
Yes.
doing this. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, we'll to our last new business item, which is 7.5, receive and file Bannister Park disc golf course feasibility study.
Good evening, Board of Directors. According to my records, I am Sean Ventura, Parks and Facilities Manager. This is going to be a fairly quick report from us. About 2 months ago, you directed staff to perform with a professional disc golf design company site feasibility study for Bannister Park. Whether it would fit a disc golf course, whether it's a smart idea to put one there. The report provided to you as an attachment to this document does note that Bannister Park overall is at best a so-so location for a disc golf course. In many ways, a poor location for this disc golf course. The overall feasibility study covered a range of options, and there were a number of reasons as to why the scores so low. Size, current use, the terrain of the area, the foliage in the area. Overall, it was approximately $1,000 to get the study accomplished. We don't see this as lose necessarily. We see this as a great document that we can use as part of our original plan to go out and public outreach in the area, speak to the community about what they do want in there. This, though we will not be obviously pushing a disc golf course, the study does note some of the issues with the space that we can use to help guide conversations with developing the areas. We know that there's that existing use, we know that the terrain can be an issue. So those things are still valuable lessons to have learned through this professional consultation. And I think we're going to be doing all right, still moving forward with our original plan for public outreach and Bannister Park. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
I'm just, honestly, I was sad by the report, to be honest. I was really hoping we had a possibility for something better, but I am glad we did that. And, I know that was a big thing, discussion of, before we wanted to, I think there's hesitancy from administration, but I'm glad we paid for that to do that. And that was the right thing to do. And so, yeah.
If I could add to that, the report towards the end does note that there are a couple of locations where it might be appropriate for like a putting basket or something like that, where it could be a shared use. It wouldn't, be deep into the woods, but, maybe over by the parking lot, we could have one basket where we could set up stones that would be different levels of skills for putting challenges and stuff like that. A lot of people do have fun with that sort of thing. So it's still an option if that comes out in the public outreach.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Of course.
I know there was public comment for Brian Bernine.
I'll be brief.
Yes.
I'm Brian Bernine, 7656 Southwood, follow up on Sean. I think that to follow up on Nick Broad's idea of the accessible part for the disabled and those limitations, I think that makes for us the most sense of neighbors. I mean, I think, a 2-hole putting course, for disc golf, it's going to attract amateur golfers and not really what you guys intended originally. So unless that's a goal that you guys have is to outreach the amateur disc golf community, I think again, using the site that we have and accessible for those disabled kids. We don't have one in Fair Oaks, as I understand it, right? Is there a park that is designed for kids with disabilities? I don't believe so. And I think that would be one anymore.
Gum Ranch has, I believe Gum Ranch has, aren't there swings or something at Gum Ranch that are
There are some accessible elements at a number of our parks, but no playground that is
not
completely
designed,
designed.
not like the one in
for-
Folsom. There's one in Folsom,
Right.
but it's 100% adapted. It's a really wonderful part.
But again, you could have sections of it that offset the other that we already do. And again, within the disc golf course thing, it's.
That all come out of community outreach.
What's that?
That all comes.
I understand that, but that's part of what I'm here for. Because this is I'm part of the communities too. And so my position is within that construct, I think if you refocus on something that more people will use, if we don't have in the community, we can't have like the disc golf course that you guys were boosting, then let's fall back on something that will be used that isn't available in this area except for pools. And that it does, again, mitigates some of those issues with the site design, but also gives you with the parking limitations you already have. I think, again, having that makes sense. Just putting that out there, again, something to think about when you're doing the outreach. Thanks.
I, for one, am very supportive of this idea, and because Bannister Park is associated with Meristem and other things, it's one that could be a high candidate for this. But there are other parks available, where we have space to do something like that. The vehicle for this, we're going to have a master plan coming up with outreaches on what to do with Bannister Park. And I think that's followed like a year later with a master plan for our whole system. So those are times to be an advocate for that, get other people that are advocates out for it. There'll be a lot of competing things that people want to see in the park system. But I, for one, think that's very, very important.
It would be a more unique usage than earlier in the region. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes our new business items. We are now going to adjourn our regular board of directors meeting, so that way we can convene the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not going to adjourn the board of directors meeting. We're going to convene the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation meeting. And that is the 132nd Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation regular board of directors meeting.
So we need a motion to that effect. So
Yes.
I move that we, which I have to language in front of me, move that we convene the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation meeting without adjourning the board of directors meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so our foundation business today involves electing the fiscal year 25-26 Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation Board of Directors.
Yes, so typically what the board chooses to do is follow the board of directors. So as the chair in January, you'll then be chair of the foundation as well. However,
So that would put us as myself as the chair, Director O'Farrell as the vice chairperson, Director Irwin, Director Mounts as the chief financial officers, and then Director Carhart as the board and secretary.
Make a motion that we elect the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation Board of Directors as was just stated.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Our second item is to approve the minutes from the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation Board meeting on November 15th, 2024 and April 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion or comment?
I will make the motion. It's 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item is approval of the transfer of funds from the Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board account to the Fair Oaks Rec and Park District General Fund account. This would be resolution number 052125-03, and it would recognize the revenue from the Fair Oaks Youth Advisory Board programs and reflect the transfer of funds from the Youth Advisory Foundation account to the Fair Oaks Rec and Park District account to offset the expenses that were originally incurred by the district. So be it for reimbursement. Any discussion or comments?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You stated 03, and so what is
We have 03, the next one is 04. So our next resolution of 052125-04 is to recognize revenue from the Garden Gala and to reflect the transfer of funds from the foundation account to the Fair Oaks Rec and Park District General Fund to again offset the gala expenses that were initially incurred by the district. So again, another reimbursement for expenses the district.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, our next item is to receive and file the foundation financial. Do you want to, is Jamie or do you want to talk about it?
Is here,
Does she have anything she wanted to share? Okay. Okay, did anyone have questions about the?
Hello, I'm here.
Thank you. Is there
Sorry,
anything?
took me a second. I don't have anything to share about the financials, unless anybody has questions.
Jamie, you did the financials, right? Like all the
I
ones.
did. I prepared the financial statements for the foundation. So you've got everything for since the last period where the financials were provided, including transactions and balances of each of the funds.
Can I ask a quick question? When I was looking at the balance sheet, I noticed that it's listed, we have both American River Bank and Central Valley Community. The foundation banks exclusively with Central Valley Community. Is that correct?
Sorry. Yes, that is correct. All of our funds are with Community West Bank. That is just an account that was set up in QuickBooks that still shows up on the balance sheet.
That used to be a bank.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
I am looking to reformat that, but I'm reluctant to change or take out. A big part of the reason is if we ever needed to go back and look at that history,
I see.
the account is there.
I have no further questions. So that is just the receive and file. So that concludes our business for the foundation. And so can I
Take a motion to adjourn the Fair Oaks Recreation Foundation meeting and return to the Fair Oaks Recreation Park District Board of Directors meeting.
all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Moving to item number 9, board and staff reports. We'll start with items from the board of directors. Ralph? Have anything today?
Well, the only thing I was happy to see the report from Mike today that indicates we may have the project back open a week earlier.
Yeah.
So that's good. Other than that,
I'm happy to want to see things moving along. Can't wait for everything to open up. So we are so close. I really can't wait. So I don't have anything else there. Oh, and I should stop and say, the Garden Gala was wonderful. Ralph and I both attended, and really great to see so many people from the community there and supporting the arts, supporting the Park District. It was a really great evening, beautiful weather. Couldn't ask for anything nicer. I think it was like 75 degrees.
Geez, that's a dream.
It was so nice.
It was 100. The first one was.
I know.
100.
The last
Plus
2 have been
degrees.
very hot. This year it was, beautiful weather, great music, really delicious food. Yeah, really nice. So well done. So thank
and
you.
the hosts at the Horticulture Center were very
The
kind
yes.
to give tours
So
around,
kind.
and people that attended were very generous with their spending and their donations. Left with much lighter wallets.
Very true. So that's all that I know.
I'll just second that. It's really nice to see the meeting happen as fast as it actually did, which it sounds like from our last meeting, they were, skipping us to do a different job, but it sounds like something may have happened with that job, so they came back to us, which is great to see all that stuff happening and getting passed, and the park is coming together. All that storage garbage is out of there. It's visually, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, which is a long tunnel, obviously. But and I'm sure Mike has some comments that will have some questions, but that's it for me.
All right, so we'll move to items from staff. Let's see, Nick, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Good evening, board directors. Nick Davison, recreation manager. Since our last meeting, we had a few events. We had our Easter extravaganza event and our Kids Art event, both which were great successes. Kids Art did have some rough weather, but we saw great attendance to that, and it's amazing to see all the art the kids do through the school districts and through San Luis Unified Schools. And then also we are now kind of wrapping up our EL soccer program. That's the program we do with San Luis Unified School District's English Learners Program. Had about 220 kids, and David's done a great job with that program. We got some events coming up here. It's going to be pretty busy here for May and early June. We have the garage sale on the 31st at Fairway Park, and then we have our Mississippi Bar Trail Run on June 7th, and that benefits the Rachel Memorial Scholarship. And then we have the conclusion of a successful preschool season. It's going to be finished up, I think, the 28th. 29th. Since we were short-staffed this year, for part of the year, I got the ability to go down and help out and assist. And I just have to say the program is absolutely incredible. And we have a fantastic preschool teacher in Miss Alicia. So just a great job with that program. And then summer camp's right around the corner. And Mary sent out the numbers, and we are just about full for almost every week. There's just a few spots left, and within all the 8 weeks that we have. So that's going to be a great summer opportunity for the kids. And then lastly, I want to recognize Mary Stokely's latest accomplishment. She is now recognized by the National Recreation Parks Association as a certified recreation professional. So she took a test. She did a lot of studying and a test to be certified as a certified parks recreation professional to further her own education, but also to utilize that education to better the park district and what she does with her career in the future. Not only did she do a great job getting certification, I really appreciate the way she approached the whole entire thing. Rather than coming to me and asking for money to do all the background of the studying and get the certification, get the money to do the certification, she actually went out and received a scholarship through District 2 with CBRS District 2. And so she covered all the expenses to actually take the test, so it wasn't even a burden on the district. So thank you, Mary, and we're super glad to have you on our team. Thank you all for all that you do for our community. Good job.
Sean, do you have any?
Nothing crazy going on in the parks right now, but we are hiring for another full-time parks worker that will primarily be down here in the village. It's open until the end of the month, and we should be seeing a new face hopefully soon after that. So hoping to find a really skilled individual that will take this facility and run with it and keep it looking A+.
Jen Schuler.
Good evening again. I'm still Jen Schuler, the Arts and Entertainment Manager. We have one exciting event in A&E coming up next week, which is our Shakespeare in the Park. So I've got a couple little postcards for you guys in case you want to come out. It's a free event in Fair Oaks Park. We do hope that it will come to the band shell side of our park once we are open. It's a great group. It's youth-based. These kids come from all over Sacramento and come together and make Shakespeare in the Park and toured around Greater Sacramento. So we're happy to have them back again for a year or two, doing Much Ado About Nothing. My next update is very exciting about the construction across the street that happened this week. I've got some photos to show everyone that the seating in the amphitheater was delivered on Monday. So all those boxes you see down at the front, came out of a big giant truck, and we were all very confused as to how they were gonna become 475 chairs. But they started putting them out, so you go to the next million. So they all put the armrests out first, and then they started putting all the backs of the chairs on, a couple days ago. And that's basically from today. So they have, put armrests, backs on chairs, and seats on most of them. You can keep kind of scrolling through. Some of them have cup holders. All of them will eventually, but that's the one thing that will come in a box next week. So they'll get finished up there. I think I have a few more on there from earlier. So that's kind of starts to take shape of what it can look like. And then I went out today, and that's where we left this afternoon, where all of the backs are on, most all of the seats are on, and the crew will be out there again tomorrow finishing up that last step. This is obviously a milestone in this project for sure, and we're extremely excited to see this take shape. So look forward to seeing lots of content about our chair dedication coming through our social medias again, because we'll push that. So if anyone's views, I have tons of information on what that looks like as well. That's my, interactive version of my update, but I will bring a more comprehensive update for the Garden Gala for you guys soon. But it was, as you guys have said, a great success. The quick numbers I saw, the evening itself raised almost $17,000, which is really generous of all of our supporters. I was wowed and floored by everyone that showed up that evening. So thank you. That's all.
You did a wonderful job organizing that. It was really remarkable to see so many people there that were not the usual suspects, not the usual people. And I think that's why we got such good donations and revenue. Did you say there's 420 chairs?
475.
475. Wonderful. And I have another question that I've forgotten.
If you remember, I'll be right here.
One thing I think that's just, we need to acknowledge it. It was a big decision. I'm glad we did it, was that we got rid of the benches. I mean, I think it's important to know that there was a time going to just be, I think, repainting the benches. That was going to be it. And I am so glad we as a board made that decision to put those chairs in, because it's going to make a huge difference. And I think it's going to be, an overall really good thing for the community and for every event that happens.
Definitely.
Good job, team.
Jen, my question was, who was it? Bobo's normal staff that installed those? Was there a special?
No, it's Irwin Seating, so the company that we bought the seats from sent out the good job.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Side hustle.
Jen, do you have any items? Thank you. And Mike?
I just want to reiterate the Garden Gala, and I want to compliment Jen Schuler on just an absolutely amazing event. I've been to galas, I'm sure you all have, and that was one of the better ones I've seen. And for Fair Oaks should be incredibly proud, and I think the district should be proud of the work the committee and Jen putting that together. And I appreciate all of the work that she has done for that. It is outstanding, and it's going to be a wonderful asset for us to have a youth theater program funded through the funds from the gala. This year's funds from the gala will fund next year's youth theater. And that is a valuable, valuable piece of product for us. So anyway, thank you again, Jen, and good work. I also just got to give quick kudos out to the youth soccer program. I went by there, saw them playing. It was fun. It was exciting. It was inspirational, because here you have kids that historically are not in club ball, club soccer, really enjoying the game of soccer as a recreational sport, not necessarily a competitive sport. And so those are what makes a difference in people's lives. 80% of the people after they graduate from high school, 90% of the people after they graduate from high school do not participate in organized sports. This may be a bridge where these folks, these kids, will participate in a sport like soccer for the rest of their lives. So anyway, David's done a great job with that. I went by the Art Fest and swung in there. It was fun to see it at McMillan Center in the park and stuff. It was just a wonderful thing. We incorporated the library into it. at Fair Oaks Park. It was neat. Again, lots of families, lots of kids, lots of participation, and not people walking around just looking at stuff that they had not participated in. So it was a neat showcase for our kids and the arts in our community. And then the construction, as mentioned, we're moving along relatively quickly. Bobo's doing an outstanding job coordinating some really tough work with this road. We have probably on each section so far, we've probably had 2 to 3 meetings, other elements, whether it be the engineer, whether it be the county, whether it be the water district, all of those things, because there's so many components around that road where it impacts different elements. And so they are all of those folks have been very responsive in getting out to site quickly, so we don't have to delay the project while we're making some critical decisions, including compaction and road slope and things like that. So anyway, outstanding job on that part. And then the last thing I wanted to just bring up, and this is going to come before you probably June or July, I'm not really sure when, I'm working out the details, but it's about parking. And I'm going to share with you my approach at this point in time. You feel like it's stalled a little bit, and that is correct, it has. There was not a lot of public support for paid parking, which is understandable. It's completely understandable. There was a lot of kickback in regards to that. To bridge us to opening, what I'm going to propose we do is that we contract with FOVEC to utilize the AT&T lot for our event programs and activities. And we notify those folks that are in our programs and say, hey, if you want to reserve a spot for parking, it's going to cost you X, let's just say $4 or $5, whatever it is. And you will get a assigned space for that activity. You won't have to look for a space. You'll be able to drive into that parking lot, park, and come out and do this event or program or activity that we have. So that's going to be my approach. I'm working with FOVEC now, so contractually we'll have to go through all the board and stuff like that and do the fees and have those fees approved. But this allows us to see if after we open, do we still have a serious problem with parking? I honestly believe we will, but this gives us an approach to be able to see that if it's going to happen or not happen. And it does show that we have been listening to the community in regards to their concerns about a managed pay-to-parking system. So anyway, that's where we're at with that. And I can answer any questions about it, or I'm done.
Any questions for me?
Mike, so you sent out that schedule, the revised schedule for reopening Village and Plaza Park with the final completion, I think, July 29th. But then there was another.
Yeah, 28th and 29th, yeah.
So is that July 20th, is that the first time we're going to be able to have any kind of like concert in the park or anything like that, or?
Yeah, we need a little bit of notice so we can move the things around. As soon as we can move them around, we will be moving them back into the park. So if we can get in there early, yes, we will try and do that with everything we can do. We got to be cognitive of the fact that we have to have that occupancy permit, and that's one thing that we just don't control. And so we can be all done, and there could be an issue that we're not aware of, and then we end up with having to fix that issue before we get our occupancy.
Mike, do you
So I want to be careful.
recall, we're not seeding the village park, it's going to be sod,
I believe it's hydro seeded.
hydro seeded, so it's going to be some time before we can actually use the park. I imagine Plaza would probably be sodded.
I don't believe so. It's that we've got the resilient turf, and I forget the exact name of it, but the GeoGrid kind of stuff going in there, and I don't believe you can sod on top of that. I think it would have to be hydro seeded as well.
Is there a timeline for when that hydro seed goes in?
ASAP. If it were me on my parks, I would have wanted to do it a couple of months ago. So we're.
You don't want to wait until it gets too hot, right?
Yeah.
So maybe in the next week or two.
I don't know the exact timeline on that. I'd have to check on that. But for the past couple of construction meetings, they've been trying to push towards that goal of getting it done as soon as possible.
I wouldn't be surprised if it would be couple of months before we can have an event on that new turf.
There's definitely going to be a growing period.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 10.
I will make a motion to adjourn. So.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.